today's session is not about Adobe Express. It's all about the changes that have happened in the world of social media so that you can feel on top of it. This one kind of hour a month where you can sit back, grab a drink. We won't judge what type of drink it is. So sit back and feel like at the end of the next kind of 45 minutes or so, you're on top of what's happening in the world of social. Luan and I give our kind of narrative around what this kind of stuff means as well. And we say it every single month, but we'll say it again. Do not feel for a moment you need to take action on everything that's coming your way over the next 45 minutes. Focus is always essential and the utterly key component to succeeding on social media. So being everywhere, spreading ourselves too thin never works. So take what you want from this, take the things that you think are relevant, and don't feel you need to take action on everything. This is just an opportunity for you to have a bit of sanity in the crazy world of social. Anything you want to add to that before we dive in, Luan?
I'm not sure we can promise sanity, but we can share the updates and the changes. And I think, joking aside, this is not intended to overwhelm anyone. This is Andy and I, because we both look at updates all the time. Why not curate it and share it and make life easier for other people, and just have the opportunity for us to debate it and see what your comments and feedback are in the chat as well. We set the dates for the year. We never know what we're going to cover in each session, but there is always so much to talk about. And as always, we will start briefly with data and then we'll take the platforms one at a time. So what data have you got for us this month?
Yeah, not so much in terms of data, but only kind of 3 or 4 points. But anyway, so Q1 mobile stats and download reports and app store reports are in. This is where we sit. The reason why this is important because it helps us chart where the future growth is going to be. So TikTok once again topping download charts, of which the rest of society seemingly are not bothered about the media's constant frenzy like TikTok is going to get banned. I very much doubt that'll be the case personally, but I've been wrong before. So I think that would be a very damaging thing for the US government to do. So I doubt they'll do it. Either way, we're not going to talk about politics today. Today is just about as much kind of factual stuff as much as we can. Anyway, downloads helps us chart the growth of monthly active users. And over on the right is monthly active users. So these are the platforms that have the highest or biggest user bases. We often report this. No big surprises, no big changes here. But what you will see is when you see downloads outpacing monthly active users, you're going to see where the growth is coming from. So unsurprisingly, TikTok continues to grow. And when you look at charting the growth of these, it helps us understand which platforms we might want to prioritize moving forward, because the higher the monthly active users, the biggest our potential reach and exposure on that platform. Pretty simple. Consumer spend in the middle is a really interesting one, however. So that really is all about driving two kind of things. One, creators monetizing their content. We'll touch on a couple of creator monetization tools. So being able to charge for access to exclusive content, for example, and also businesses being able to tag products and merchandise those products directly in the social feed as well. Those consumer spend pieces are kind of interesting to look at because, well, for 2 reasons. One, if you're in e-com, it helps you understand what user behavior exists on these platforms. So for example, if you're a retail business, e-com, whatever, TikTok and YouTube are the strongest platforms right now in terms of driving revenues directly through the platform. There's also 2 other components to it as well. One of TikTok's biggest spends is creators like you and I boosting our content, putting in, 10 quid to boost our content to get another few thousand views. So many people do that. And it is also very, very effective. I couldn't have grown my TikTok without doing that in the early days. I'm not ashamed to say. So probably spending 10 quid a week in building my followers. Yeah. So works very well. And you can tell that because lots of people are spending money on that. So it's really interesting though for e-com and also for where the creators are and where the creators will gravitate towards, because creators will want to make money. And why that's important for us as businesses, where creators go, communities come too. And when communities come, that gives us an opportunity to work with those creators as maybe like influencers, ambassadors, that kind of thing, to help promote our wares. So that are the core takeaways from this slide. Anything you want to add before we move on, Luan?
I think the only one, and it hasn't popped up in the chat yet, that whenever we present monthly active users, people go, oh, LinkedIn's not on the chart. They report their monthly active users differently to other platforms because they are part of Microsoft. And I would also say in terms of app downloads, it's a bit more of a desktop tool than a mobile tool. So if someone's wondering why LinkedIn's not on there, I think that's why. But interesting to see LinkedIn on the consumer spend chart in the middle.
That is very interesting, actually. Yeah, I hadn't actually noticed that, to be honest. That's fascinating.
Yes.
Dig more into that. Talking about LinkedIn, I wanted to pull this out because I saw this in a report. Sorry for the really dull looking slide. I've literally copy and pasted something I found on one of LinkedIn's reports. But basically, this is some measurements across like thousands of ads, and you can see this. Link the source in this slide deck, and we'll share the slide deck anyway.
Yeah.
But here, what you'll see is what makes a good ad. Now, to cut through lots of data points here, there's kind of three things that really jumped out to me. Is like, short form works wonderfully, right? So 7 to 15 second duration. Basically, read from that, your hook is essential. We all know that, but further data point proving that. This is a really important one. 175% lift in view through. So basically getting a quarter of a way through a video when showing a person in the opening quarter. So how powerful that is to represent a human in your ad. Eyes earn trust is a saying, and it's very true. As humans, we naturally gravitate towards other humans. And unsurprisingly, 149% lift when displaying messaging in the open quarter video. So in line with the hook, making sure you're kind of the story you're trying to tell unfolds very clearly early on in the video. That's my kind of takeaway from this. Nothing like mind-blowing about this, but just good practice, I think. Any takes on this, Luan?
Yeah, I saw this. So it is small. It's from Search Engine Land, and as Andy said, we'll share all of this afterwards. So there's the video info in there, but also the one that was surprising was thinking about calls to action, and plus 33% lift in click-through rate when there's get a quote, which I think is quite positive for a business-to-business platform to actually start talking about quotes straight away from an ad.
Definitely with you on that. Right, there your core 2 bits of data. Let's look at some trends. YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. Lots of people searching for that. And there seems to be increasing interest in YouTube Shorts. They're at 50 billion monthly views, if I remember, and it keeps on going up. So YouTube Shorts is being described, and I'll describe it as underpriced attention. So there is a lot of opportunity for you to grab additional exposure on YouTube Shorts, because it's basically TikTok 18 months ago, really, where TikTok gave away bucket loads of reach for free to maximize the usage of the platform. Happens in the early days of every platform, and that's where kind of first mover advantage works. Again, caveat here, like I said at the start, if short form video is not your thing, don't fall over yourself to think, oh, I just need to put something on YouTube Shorts. Like, bad content is still bad content. It doesn't matter what platform you put it on, right? So it's still, make sure the content is right for the platform and right for you, of course. But YouTube Shorts, if that short form video approach or format is right for you, then YouTube Shorts is demonstrating a lot of growth potential. Luan.
Yeah, a question, thanks. In short form video, slightly different platform, but I think we're looking at under 3 minutes, around 90 seconds in terms of our Reels, our TikToks, our YouTube Shorts. So quite a big difference. And I think sometimes it feels like we talk more about TikTok and Reels and not so much about YouTube, but we really shouldn't forget the importance of YouTube. If we were looking at the stats that we often look at from Data Reportal around world's most used social media platforms, YouTube has been second on that for years now. So I think there's a danger of focusing in on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok in a lot of conversations, LinkedIn for B2B, but yeah, we need to bring YouTube higher up in our mind, I think.
Definitely. That links to that consumer spend as well, because that a lot of creators make the most money on YouTube. So they bring communities too. So YouTube Shorts just, it's essential for YouTube to fight back against TikTok. So they want as many people using it as possible. And of course, it's got all the search value too baked into it, right? So using keywords in your captions on YouTube Shorts, absolutely essential. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Lemonade. Oh, we love new social platforms. We love,
yeah.
Go on,
well, put in the chat, please. whether you've already downloaded it, whether you've already tried it, because I think, Andy, you and I are always ones that kind of, there's part of us sigh, part of us thinks that we need to go and have a look at it, part of us that just actually wants to watch and see what happens first before we dive in. And that's where I'm at on this one.
Well, I feel like I'm getting old in the social media game where I've just like reached a stage of disdain where I'm just like, not another one, come on. Like, and mostly I ignore them. Where, you know, because there's always a bit of sparkle and fade with a lot of these ones. You got to wait for that initial, you know, buzz to die down. But there's some fundamentals in Lemonade that does mean it has the capability of going the distance. Number one, it's owned by ByteDance, which is a company that owns TikTok. So that is a big boon in their favor. They've also using TikTok creators to promote it. So naturally using one of the world's most popular social networks to promote this one. So it's going to be pretty sustainable in terms of its growth. That being said, you know, there is a very specific use case. So if you're in B2B, I'm happy to say you can move along. Don't worry. If you're in like fashion, retail, you have something with strong aesthetic, then you might want to consider this. Because of course, there's always a bit of first mover advantage with, you know, new platforms. And even if you don't want to get into it, I think, Luan, you often give this advice, like grab your handle anyway, and it makes sense to, you don't have to post straight away, just see what's going on. Basically, if you want the TLDR on Lemonade, basically smash together Instagram and Pinterest. You got yeah, so that's where it is. So very specific aesthetic, make collections of things. So works very well in the fashion industry. Anything else you want to add on that? And do we have anything in the chat of anyone that's exploring it?
Only a couple of comments. Love the aesthetic look of Lemonade. 17 million users in 3 years doesn't sound great. Tom, I think the stat is how much it's been downloaded in the last week and a half. So it's one of those, you know, all over the news, or perhaps not all over the news because people haven't heard about it. But yeah,
in May. It launches next month, actually, properly. It's all in beta right now. So hasn't properly launched.
So, you know, these things can take time. I think it's watching, but yeah, everything I've read and looked at says, yeah, a smash between Instagram and Pinterest, which actually brings me back almost to the same comment as YouTube. Is Pinterest again doesn't feature in conversations quite as much as perhaps it should do or could do. But yes, you know, how long have we been doing this? And there's only so much you can do, and we need to focus on the platforms where our audiences are.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So 2 bits of data, 2 trends for us to evaluate how they'll impact us. But let's go to some new features, go network by network. I'll touch on Instagram and I'll hand back over to you, Luan, for some others. Here's our friendly Instagram face. I'm not sure he'll like these stills, but Adam Mazzeri, head of Instagram, you follow him. You always say this, Luan. So follow him if you want to keep the latest on Insta. I would hate his job, if I'm completely honest, because it looks like absolute chaos whenever he posts on social. Anyway, I do like his myth busting stuff. 2 things, like how many hashtags should I use in my posts? Hashtags will not change your reach. Lots of people were like, what are you saying? I use hashtags and my hashtags work, yada, yada. Still very strong opinions around hashtags. My general guidance on this, and Luan, you and I were talking about this before. This is my opinion because I speak as I find. It's not fact. Hashtags, I don't see them as a significant needle mover in terms of the performance of your content. I'll always add 3 to 4, no more, of super relevant ones. But I've never seen any empirical data that says having a hashtag versus not changes the trajectory of a post, because you just can't, well, you can't prove it out because you'll never have the exact same situation and conditions that you can properly measure against. So I think the high level here is that just don't sweat hashtags as much as you thought you needed to. And that's my guidance. I'm interested in your take, Luan. Like, well-chosen hashtags won't save a bad post, put it that way.
No, and absolutely, or anything won't save a bad post. I think we all probably in the UK wish that these videos from Masuri didn't come out in the evening and kind of wreck our evenings when he says stuff like this. And this one has, you know, I've seen lots of comments around it. My answer is, why not just include them? It's not a big danger. I think that from clients I've worked with, conferences I've attended, there's different theories on this, almost around what stage your Instagram account is at in terms of growth. You know, if you're very early on, hashtags will help your content get found. Potentially, you may not need that as much with a mature account. Going back to my probably standard answer, it's in your own data. And if you look at your own data around how people are finding your account, how people found your post, and it says hashtags, keep on using them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's hashtags. And then this one about editing tools, that is really good to know because I am lazy, because I'll typically take the same short form video and put it across all networks without tweaking it at all. And I do all my editing on TikTok, remove the watermark and bang it on every other platform I can find. So it doesn't get downranked. So there you go. Just make sure you ain't got the TikTok logo. Nice, simple guidance. We'll take that. And at least from a very limited data sample of one being me, I can validate that's fine. That kind of I've seen consistent growth on Instagram Reels, irrespective of how I've edited. Yeah. Cool, nice and easy. Few features, new ones. Save posts with friends. This is probably not significant in terms of like building our business and our brands, but the kind of underlying piece here is quite interesting. Is that there is a growing trend of private sharing. Of less people willing to share to the feed, interestingly. So more people are wanting to share privately. But where I see this from a business perspective, sharing posts with friends means you can have collaborative collections as well. So this can be quite useful if there's people that you work with, a close-knit community. Being able to share collections with people can be quite a useful thing to do. But I don't think a huge needle mover in terms of overall like reach and growth, as I talk about. Couple of simple, useful things, trimming videos down to 60 seconds for stories. So if we've got a long video, we can simply use the editing tools that are native in Instagram now to trim it down to the 60 seconds that we have for a video to be in a story. Similarly, with stories, we can view story reshares, a new data point that we didn't have before. Once again, helping us understand the effectiveness of our stories. So nice and simple. Mentioning in notes, I don't think this is a game changer. Anyone know what notes is? Anyone use notes on Instagram? Curious to know. Basically feels like Facebook circa 2007 with your little status update. Like, man is, okay.
Skype updates,
yeah, there you go. Still got MSN. Yeah, there you go. You can guess our ages from that. Cool. So notes are like status updates. Now we can mention people. So it does add a flavor of collaboration. So like on note on Instagram, if you actually thought about this, Luan, I could have tagged you in a note, which would be the top of my profile, would be like about to go live on social media updates with @Luan Wise. So, you know, there's ways of using it. Game changer, it's not. This is going to be useful, however. Reels trends dashboard. So provided that you've got a professional account, and a quick note on Instagram professional accounts. So that's creator or a business account, basically anything that's not a personal account. Just as a note there, I would always recommend you having a professional account if you're regularly posting on Instagram, because you get so many more features and you get tools like this. So it seems like a no-brainer to me. Firstly, Reels trends. So we can see our trending sounds, and we can also see trending hashtags. Despite Instagram saying hashtags don't significantly impact reach, it still helps you understand trends. So we can see the things that are certainly trending. I was trying to think of another word for this. So it helps you jump on those things that could help you get noticed. I'm not a big one for trend jacking, to be honest. I'm just not trendy enough, quite simply. But there's a lot of businesses that are, and this can be a really nice new feature and a new way to kind of unlock some in the moment content creation. I'm going to stop there for a second. Luan, do you want to chime in?
I think this just shows how important Reels are continuing to be on Instagram, even though there was kind of initial backlash, and then, you know, oh, sorry, we're going to keep focusing on photos. And this is a bit like TikTok, isn't it? And, you know, being able to go in and find that dashboard and find out what's going on. So they just continue to make things easier and keep the focus on it.
Definitely. Talking making things easier, they've improved the Reels editor as well, looking a lot more like CapCut. It's still not perfect, but we're getting a lot more features to make video creation easier. We can use images to make videos out of. We can use our previous stories content and our stories memories to make videos out of. Basically, Instagram are falling over themselves to go, look how easy it is to make videos. Go and make videos. Look, everyone made it for you. So that is basically where Instagram are at. So the barriers to video creation are coming down and down. And yeah, and editing that has just got a whole load easier too. Reels insights. Luan, the queen of the insights. So
we love more data that's going to help us know what's working, what we can improve, what we can change. And I think this one is about it's hashtags, isn't it? And audio and reach. And what I particularly like on here is your following and how people found it. So look at your own insights and get your information from your own data.
Definitely. And another point on this, not shown on the screen, the thing that I particularly like, it will tell you in your reels insights, if you're posting reels, it will tell you your average view time of your video. So if you're seeing loads of people swipe away at 3 second mark, your hook isn't quite good enough. So it gives you a nice bit of tactical insight for you to improve that hook in the first kind of 7 to 15 seconds of the video that we were talking about earlier. It's so essential to its success. This is really cool. So you'll start to see some new notifications where people have started following you as a result of something, and you'll be able to show your appreciation. Absolutely love that. So yeah, so you can see some love for that from those on the call. And this is like your audience are always the heroes or heroines. They're the star of the show, right? So that is what all of your content's about. So being able to say thanks for following or whatever, or find those new connections, love that. So yeah, big step in the right direction from Insta. A lot more happening around creator monetization. So it doesn't apply for everyone, absolutely, unless you're kind of leaning in to the kind of making money from your content, which most of us probably aren't. But Instagram are doing a lot more around that, which helps people make money on the platform, which once again brings their communities onto the platform too. Here's the big one, save the best to last. I think this is the last one. Yeah, it is. Yeah, best to last. 5 links to your Instagram bio. Hello, more call to actions. So yeah, this is a big, very useful update. People have been asking for this for years. So means less reliance on third-party tools like link trees, etc. So we can put the core things that we need on our directly in our profiles. So any other take on that before we move on to Facebook?
I just want to know who's done it. I haven't updated mine yet, and I haven't seen any accounts that have updated it. So yeah, there was a lot of celebration for this one, just waiting for it to roll out.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate enough that I only have one thing that I want people to, because I'm not excited enough to have 5. But there you go. Over to you, Luan.
Okay, let's talk Facebook, Meta. Broadcast channels. We've talked about these before for Instagram and how this is the owner of the account being able to talk one to many, not interactive, not two-way. So really interesting to see this in groups. Groups is the area we've seen on Facebook that keeps getting the new functionality. I still think it's the place that draws people back to Facebook more than the newsfeed, perhaps. So haven't seen any of these myself, haven't been involved in any, but I like this feature. So interesting to see how it plays out. Creating clips from live streams and cross-posting. Again, I don't know about anyone else. I see less live streams on Facebook than I did a while ago. Don't know if people are still doing them, or perhaps they're more within groups, but being able to take content and repurpose it and to do that really easily is always a plus. And from others' live streams as well. I'm not sure about this one, being able to do it from other people's. I'm guessing there's a permission that you need to allow people to do it.
You can, yeah, it is an opt-in permission, but I think it's quite good. So if you're watching like a live stream of someone that you follow that is in your space or whatever, creating clips from this is actually quite a powerful way of you, one, creating content for yourself, and two, like showing your appreciation of the creator who's creating the content. So yeah, I do quite like that. Yeah, once again, lowering the barriers to creating posts.
I like the concept, but I think I've been burnt by copyright issues a few times, so perhaps I'm a bit more nervous about having that as an option.
Stand that.
Yeah. Adding first comment on Facebook stories. Again, are people using Facebook stories directly on Facebook, or are they just sharing them over from Instagram because it's an easier one to do? I'm not sure, but now that you can add the first comment, will that make a difference? I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, it's useful on Instagram, which you can do, right? So you can put your any particular calls to action, hashtags in the first comment, keep the caption clean. But yeah, I'm not entirely sold on the use of Facebook stories, to be honest. But either way, and I think this is an important point around, like, you know, Facebook and Instagram, etc., is that if you're doing stuff on Instagram, you might as well put it on Facebook, because it really doesn't hurt. Yeah, because they make it so easy, as we talked about a couple of slides ago, to cross post your content. So even if 10 other people see it, like that's 10, still 10 new people, you might as well. So yeah, that's kind of my general thesis on it. Yeah, just might as well.
Yeah, you might as well. Someone said Facebook stories are full of people accidentally posting the bike they're selling. I haven't seen that. But I don't need a bike and I'm not selling a bike, so that's interesting as well. AI, we haven't really talked about AI much in any of our sessions, but you know, it is quite a hot topic.
They'll be coming.
Renee, I can see you on my screen, and Renee does a brilliant webinar. Please pop the link in around AI and how marketers are using it. AI is coming to more of the social media platforms, as well as using the standalone ones like ChatGPT that, you know, we can't miss. Bringing that, all those features into social media is happening, whether it's a third-party tool or directly in the app. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not sure about AI generated stories. Again, the cautious side of me isn't too keen.
I think this is the start of a lot more we're going to see in this regard, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, we still have creative control of it, but yeah, having content created for us, it's useful if we just want to create something. But yeah, the jury is a little bit out on this one. But either way, this is the first iteration, but this is going to get so much stronger, where we're going to see so much more suggested content for us to post from the networks directly, rather than relying us on using, you know, ChatGPT or Midjourney or whatever AI tool that we like. So talking of AI though,
is there much to talk about Twitter today? Again, just before we dive in, Renee asked a question in the chat about how's the exodus to Mastodon going. From what I've read, it was one of those initial exodus when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and actually some of the stats around that exodus was around, there was peaks when he did something like allowing Donald Trump to return or banning journalists, etc. So there was a shift, but all the conversations I'm having at the moment in training courses and with clients is actually Twitter is still valuable and audiences are still there, decision makers, academics, journalists. So despite the changes, which we're going to talk about going on, still hearing that there's positivity and value to be had in this platform. Are you hearing similar?
Yeah, it's not dead. It's got 450
yeah.
million monthly active users. It's massive, and is still growing. Like Mastodon was always going to get, and all the others like Blue Sky as well. There's a bunch of others. These kind of federated social networks, which I won't touch on. They are built for like the bleeding edge of social media, like nerdery, if I'm completely honest. So you'll always find like niche spin out groups. You'll find them hanging out on like Discord and Reddit, as well as on like Mastodon and stuff. Like we're seeing a lot more fragmentation of social, to be completely honest. And that is a trend that we're going to see, much more kind of smaller communities, where I think we're going to see, outside of like TikTok and Lemonade, which are like your broader stuff, we're continuing to see more and more rises of those smaller niche communities. And I like that. It makes it harder for us as marketers to then, you know, we can't just choose one platform and stick to it. We've got to be really aware about other ones. But I also do like the fact that communities are becoming more splintered and fragmented, because then there's more value to be had when you work more closely in those communities. Anyway, we'll go off for a dive. So I won't.
I completely agree. And what the corner of my eye, Gemma's already asked the big question in the chat. What's everyone doing about blue ticks? Please let us know while we talk about the features. What's first? How Twitter's algorithm works. So I don't know whether this is an intentional leak or a purposeful leak, accidental, but it was about 3 weeks ago now, how the algorithm works and what it prioritizes. Likes, then retweets, then replies. Links hurt. We kind of know that to a certain extent, but I'm always a fan of including links if that is your objective. Sign-ups, downloads, etc. Misinformation is downranked. Yes. Twitter Blue extends reach. I don't think there was any big surprises in the algorithm information that we weren't expecting.
No, I just think I was surprised likes gets prioritized more than retweets or replies, which is interesting, which is unlike the other networks. But yeah, I think that piece around, I think the question that was asked about, what are doing blue ticks? The fact is, we're getting to a point that unless you pay for Twitter, you might as well give up, because you're not getting any reach. And that, I think that's the big message.
And I think this is a conversation that if you're not having already and you're in an organization, you need to be having the conversation. Are we going to pay for it? Are we going to pay for those Twitter Blue features, which at the moment are edit, having your content pushed out in the For You feed as well as the main news feed? I'm seeing that feedback that people are getting additional reach when they subscribe, and having your organization verified and perhaps some kind of linked accounts between users within your organization as well as your core account. So I think if you're in an organization and you haven't had that conversation yet about, are we going to subscribe, that's something that you need to be having quite soon. Verified organizations, it's all about verification, isn't it, and the blue tick right now.
Definitely.
And that you need that to be able to advertise. So if you want to pay, you have to pay. That's, and the challenge is, and the pace at which Elon Musk is making changes means that we're finding things out as and when you try to do something. And that's what's happened with advertising over the last few days. 10,000 character tweets for Twitter Blue subscribers. I'm not sure that this would be your reason to subscribe to Twitter Blue. I haven't seen a 10,000 character tweet yet. I'm not sure I could write a 10,000 character tweet. I think it's going to appear more like a thread. It's not going to be a whole essay on one page. But I guess the fact that there won't be a character restriction is what this is all about, that Twitter's always felt.
Exactly. It's what made Twitter Twitter, but there you go.
Well, dare I say again, showing our age, many people don't remember the days of 140 characters. We've now got twice as much as we used to have. Anyway, going back, Twitter is now forcing users to pay if they want to be seen. This is what's rolling out, and you need to have those conversations internally and decide what you want to do if you're running your own accounts as well. Creator subscriptions, this probably isn't a surprise because it's all about how we're monetizing the platforms at the moment, and that Twitter have kind of announced that they will also be having a creator level subscription, and I'm sure more features on that we can see on here, badges and bonus content, and they're looking for early applications. And
they've lowered the barriers to entry. So for followers, 25 tweets in 30 days. So if you're like, oh, I'm interested in building my own kind of private community on Twitter, this could be one to consider. Oh yeah, and then this one.
But it's not even Twitter now, it's X Corp, isn't it?
We'll have to update the slides.
As if he hasn't got enough to be doing and fiddling around with. They have rebranded to X Corp.
Very, very interesting. So I think that just in summary, still value to be had on Twitter, but really as an individual, you're going to need to pay if you want your content to be seen. But there's still a load of value in, even if you're just replying to stuff, or there's still no better place to listen to like the voice of a customer and figure out what people are saying. So it's still valuable, but strategies need to change. Anyway, sorry, back over to you.
LinkedIn, a few changes to LinkedIn as well. We're doing sharing a post with multiple members at once. So this is that send button and being able to kind of share share messages with people you may know and small groups, so that you can now do this with more than one person. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn doing one-to-one messaging than I actually do public stuff. So I think this could be interesting, depending on your network and how you work and how you're structured.
I like this as a way of like building new conversations, because you'd be like, ping this out to some kind of key decision makers in your industry. You'll be like, oh, I saw this and thought of you, kind of thing. Yeah. So it helps kind of spread our reach a little bit wider.
No one remembers that Royal Mail campaign. They saw this and thought of you.
Oh, yes, sorry, I plagiarized that term.
That's all right. Verification comes to LinkedIn. Why not get in the act and allow verification? But I think this is about whether you're an employee of an organization. Are you genuinely an employee belonging to the company page, which I know has been an issue for company page admins. I've had it on my own company pages. My business is just me, but I seem to have 5 or 6 employees at some point. So there is a feature to support this going forward. Adding more algorithmically suggested content. This is the same as we're seeing on Twitter, the same as has been on TikTok, talked about on Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn is trying to expand the content that you see in the feed, which has pros and cons to it. As long as it's relevant, I'm cool with that.
Definitely. Oh, TikTok, right. More detailed analytics coming, so we can now see our video views and how our video is performing the first 24 hours. You'll start to notice that you get notifications based on how your content's performing. I find that really useful because it helps you understand and respond to comments really quickly as well, because you get notifications based on those comments within the first few hours. Because engagement in the first 12 hours is essential for how that will continue to perform. So now we've got more detailed analytics, and we like that. Playlists are powerful and getting increasingly more so on TikTok. So if you do TikTok and if you have like a series of things like social media updates, for example, organize into a playlist, which is a note to self that I haven't done this yet. So organize into playlist. And then when anyone's watching your video, they've got a little call to action to play next. So basically, rather than swiping and seeing someone else's content, they can continue down a path that you choose, which is very powerful. But we also know this kind of pattern from YouTube too. There's a new effect house for brands where creators are increasingly experimenting with the creative tools on TikTok, whether it's like filters, lenses, and that kind of stuff. So there's now a whole kind of community if you want as a brand to get some creators to create your own, brand identity through like a filter or something like that. So it's a good way on TikTok using some of the native functionality and how the users prefer that kind of content, and how you can use some like real kind of clear brand effects, something that gives you a unique visual identity, and work with some creators to create that. So that's called Effect House. I would say that's one more reserved for not small businesses, for those organizations that are taking TikTok more seriously. So it's a bit more of an advanced thing, this one. Right, loads more too. So I'm going to fire through this. Broadcast channels, we've heard this somewhere before, coming to WhatsApp. Once again, in line with what we were talking about, the rise of private sharing, more people working in like smaller communities and such. And broadcast channels have come to Facebook, both the pages and groups, come to Instagram and now WhatsApp. This is powerful because you can put like a group of individuals together and they will see your message irrespective. That is powerful. Obviously, use it judiciously because we don't like spamming. But certainly, if you've got like a core group of individuals, a nice way of signing up like a newsletter subscription as well. Matt Navarra, Social Media Geek Out, someone that everyone should follow. That's in the kind of social media world. Uses this to really good effect, actually. We can also have more people in our WhatsApp groups too. So now just over 1,000. So that's doubled. I mean, WhatsApp still maintains like as a very easy way to get hold of people. Once again, like these groups and this expanded number of the people you can have in those broadcast groups gives us more opportunity to reach a broader swathe of people. But of course, these people need to opt in. They need to be our closest community. Cool. YouTube Shorts spoke about the importance of that, and there's more analytics related to it. I absolutely love this because, Luan, you were talking about this earlier. How do viewers find you? So it gives you a real nice, clear breakdown as to where are people finding you? Are they finding you from your long form content or your short form? So this really helps you understand those details. And if you run a podcast, I think it will probably serve you well to both host this on Spotify or wherever you do it. Only say Spotify because that's where I've always hosted mine. But YouTube Music will also be very powerful because more people watching podcasts or listening to podcasts, I should say, on YouTube than ever before. And they've got like a whole directory related to podcasts. So if podcasts are your thing, YouTube should be one to check out. Now, Substack, we don't talk much about Substack because there's usually not too much to say. Substack is like a newsletter community. So there's about 2 million paid subscriptions now, so showing an increasing intent of people to pay for content that they regularly want to receive. And it's all historically been based around newsletters until some ongoing beef with Twitter made them go, sod it, we're going to create our own kind of Twitter rival called Notes. So I don't think there's much to do here. If you don't do Substack today, don't worry about it. But if you like the idea of having like a community of people that are subscribed to your newsletter, for what it's worth, I use Substack too. I have my newsletter on there. And this is a nice way of maintaining like day-to-day engagement. You might have a monthly newsletter on Substack, and then you can also use this notes feature to act like Twitter as a way to keep that kind of engagement going. But once again, the key message here is like, this is another example of that more kind of private opted in community rather than like the town square, as you know, Twitter described themselves, type of thing where we're kind of broadcasting to the masses. That still has its place, but increasingly we're seeing further fragmentation. And then Snapchat, once again, like Snapchat often blows my mind and makes me feel old all the damn time, and I hate it for that. But what it does do is it's always at the bleeding edge of where social is going, and Snapchat is always a good one to look to go, all right, if you want to know the direction of social, look at Snapchat, because they're typically, because they've got the youngest audience. They got the 14 to 17-year-olds, which usually for us as marketers, that's not usually our space. However, what's very useful to see is like the things that are resonating and working well on Snapchat are the things that typically will get adopted by other platforms down the track. So augmented reality filters, we'll see more of that. We've seen loads of them anyway, and you saw the same with the TikTok effect house, so more stuff happening there. And also My AI, and I want to call out with this kind of weird purple fella here, is that this is a recently launched feature. Not everyone's a fan of it. The reviews have been mixed, it's fair to say. But I feel like this is a new dawn for how search will be conducted in social. So I think this is worthwhile paying attention to, because I think, I might be wrong here, but this is where AI will start to play a larger role in brand discovery moving forward, because the whole role of My AI in Snapchat is to give you suggestions, be like, hey, like, where's the best place to eat, or what should I do? What's the best sneakers to buy? Well, sneakers, you can tell I've spent too much time speaking to Americans these days. Anyway, so trainers, what's the best trainers to buy? But you think about that, like there's going to be a war for kind of AI chatbot SEO type of thing, which is really interesting. There's more search happening on social than there is happening on Google search right now. And I think AI is going to play in it an impact in that, or have an impact in that moving forward. Don't need to do anything about it right now. It's not having a massive impact right now, but definitely something for us to consider for the future. Okay, we've done quite well in terms of time. That's remarkable. 6 key takeaways. I'm interested in your takeaways as well. So yeah, editing analytics tools come to Reels to make it even easier to create. So, and we know short form video continues to rise, but you don't need me to tell you that, you know this. Lots more flexibility in our Instagram profiles, so make sure you're using those 5 link in bio links, so to maximize your opportunity to drive people to where you want them to go to. Twitter's the first network to go full pay to play. Going to be fascinating to watch this play out, because that is really, they're charting a whole new course. So we'll see, you know, whether other networks, you can tell that they're starting to look at this. So whether others will act remains to be seen. More private content sharing, more fragmentation and dispersal of communities into different places, definitely one to keep an eye on. I was just spoken about AI, and then should you be in the right kind of fit for it fashion brand, then just keep an eye on Lemonade. What are your takes from this, Luan? And we can go to questions as well.
Yeah, we have no questions, just lots of brilliant comments that people are having in there around, you know, Rene uses Snapchat because it's the only way his teams will message him. So Donald Trump may need 10,000 characters on Twitter. It's brilliant. It's a whole different conversation happening over there. For me, working with clients and my own, the biggest conversation to have right now is Twitter. How important is it for your organization? Think of the value, and you may need to be having that conversation around, I need some budget, I need to pay for this, and look at what the new features are holding. I think it's a really big shift. And if you take the Elon Musk character to one side and other things, I think this is what's going to be a big shift over the next few months alongside AI.
Definitely.
As a business tool.
Do you want to put your social handle in? I realise I only just included.
I am going to put my social handle. I'm also going to put next month's update in there because I have that ready. So we do this every month, as well as, you know, do connect with both Andy and I on LinkedIn. We are both on other platforms, TikTok.